Hello friends, in today's video we are going to see more topics related to event handling. Okay, we will proceed further now with the second theory part of event handling. We saw action event class in the last session and now we will explore it. Action event has three constructors. First is action event object source integer type string command. Action event object source integer type string command integer modifiers. Action event object source integer type string command long main integer modifiers. Source is a reference to the object that generated this event. Okay, so what is source? We generated the event. Then type of the event is specified by type. Okay, which event is that? And then command argument modifiers indicates which modifier keys alt control meta shift were pressed when the event was generated. Okay, and when parameter specifies when the event was occurred. You can obtain the command name for the invoking action event object by using the get command method. It will return you the string representation of the command, and that command is given over here. When a button is pressed, an action event is generated that has a command name equal to the label on that button. Okay, so that button can be, for example, OK. So it will return you the OK button. So you will understand the OK button was pressed. Get modifiers method returns a value that indicates which modifier keys were pressed when the event was generated. Modifier keys are alt, control, meta, or shift. The form is get modifiers. Get when returns a time at which the event took place. This is called the event timestamp. Okay. So when the event took place, get when is shown here, long get when. Then adjustment event class is generated by scroll bar. Okay. 5 types of adjustment events are there. Adjustment event class defines integer constants that can be used to identify them. So each constant is different and you will identify using this constant which adjustment event was generated. Okay, so constants and their meanings are block decrement. When the user clicks inside the scroll bar to decrease its value. Okay, block increment, the user click inside the scroll bar to increase its value. Track, the slider was dragged. Unit decrement, the button at the end of scroll bar was clicked to decrease its value. Unit increment, the button at the end of the scroll bar was clicked to increase its value. There is integer constant adjustment value change that indicates that a change has been occurred. Okay, so one more integer constant is there, adjustment value change, which tells us that the change has been occurred. Here is the one adjustment event constructor. Adjustment event, adjustable source, ID, type, and value. Okay, so source is a reference to the object that generated this event. Okay, ID specifies the event, that is which event has been occurred. Then type of the adjustment is given by type and is associated value is given by integer value. Adjustable method returns the object that generated the event. Get adjustable will give you the object that generated the event. Its form is shown here, adjustable, get adjustable. Okay, so it will give you the adjustable objects. The type of adjustment event may be obtained by get adjustment type. So how to get adjustable object using get adjustable method, and how to get the type of the adjustment using the get adjustment type. And what important things you have to remember are these 5 constants. Okay, you can take a screenshot of this or you can go through it and you can write down it also. Okay, so when you will practice you will remember it more. Next, it returns one of the constants defined by adjustment event. Okay, so adjustment types are, these are the types. Okay, so this will be generated by this method. Then get adjustment type, format is integer constant. It will be a vector. The amount of the adjustment can be obtained from the get value method is shown here. Integer get value. For example, when a scroll bar is manipulated, this method returns the value represented by that change. Okay. When a scroll bar is manipulated or any changes has been made with a scroll bar, that this method returns the value represented by that change. So how much change has been occurred is written by this get value method. Okay. The component event class is component event is generated when the size, position, or visibility of the component is changed. Okay. So what value has been changed? Size of the component, position where it is has been placed is changed, or visibility of the component, visible or not visible, is changed. So this type of event is generated when this type of things happens. There are 4 types of component events. Component event class defines integer constants that can be used to identify them. So here also there are constants. Those will identify which type of component event has been occurred. Component hidden, component was hidden, like visibility false. Component moved, that is place, position of the component has been changed. Resize, size of the component has been changed, and shown is visible. Okay, so one is for visibility is equal to false, hidden, and visibility is equal to true. Integer constant is component shown. The constructor of this component event class is component event, component source, and integer type. Source is a reference to the object that generated this event, and type of the event is specified by type. Okay. This component event class is a super class either directly or indirectly of the container event, focus event, key event, mouse event, and window event, among others. The get component method returns the component that generated the event. Okay. So component get component returns the component that generated the event. Next is container event class is generated when a component is added to or removed from a container. Okay. So container will hold the component. If it is added with the component, then it is the container event is generated, or it is removed from a container, component is removed from a container, then also container event has been generated. There are 2 types of container event, component added and component removed, and those will be represented by the integer constants. They indicate that the component has been added to or removed from the container. Okay. Container is a subclass of the component event and has this constructor, source, type, and component. Source is a reference to the container that generated this event. Type of the event is specified by type, and the component that has been added to or removed from the container is component. You can obtain the reference to the container that generated this event using the get container method. Okay. So who generated the this event will be written by the container get container method. Get child method returns a reference to the component that was added or removed from the container. As simple as that. So no need to memorize or by heart these things. Those are very simple common sense things. Container is a container that has a component, and get child is a component that is added to or removed from the container. Okay, so how to get the child using component get child method. Next is focus event class. It is generated when a component gains or loses the input focus. Okay. These events are identified by the integer constant focus gain, focus lost. Focus event is a subclass of component event and has these constructors. Focus event component source integer type, focus event component source integer type boolean temporary flag. Okay. Focus event component source integer type boolean temporary flag component other, and component focus event component source integer type boolean temporary flag component other plus focus event dot calls what. Okay. Source is a reference to the component that generated this event. Type of the event is type. Argument temporary flag is set to true if the focus event is temporary. Okay. That is focus has been gained or lost is a temporary thing. Then it will be true. Otherwise it is set to false. Temporary focus event means it is occurred as a result of another user interface operation. For example, somebody is writing, focus is in the text field. Somebody is writing into that, and suddenly user moves the mouse to adjust the scroll bar up or down. Then focus to the text field is lost, and it is temporarily lost. So it is appearing as a result of the another user's interface operation. So it is a set to false. Okay. The other component involved in the focus change, called the opposite component, is passed in others. Okay. So next component, second component that is involved in the focus change operation that is performed right now, called the opposite component, is passed in the other field. Okay. If a focus gain event occur, other will refer to the component that lost focus. If the if the scroll bar is gaining the focus, means text field is losing the focus. If text field is gaining the focus, then scroll bar is losing the focus. Conversely, a focus loss event occurred, other will refer to the component that gains focus. Okay, fourth constructor was added by JDK 9. Last is focus event dot cause what, that is added to using Java 9. What parameter specify why the event was generated? What is the cause for that? Okay, it is specified as a focus event dot cause enumeration value that identifies the cause of the focus event, and it was added by Java 9. Okay, so you can determine the other component by calling get opposite component like this. Get opposite component. Okay, so if user is typing in the text field and suddenly the focus of text field is lost, so who is the another thing, which is the another component that has been gained focus when text field has lost this, you want to find out. Okay, so how to find out? Using the get opposite component method. This will return you the opposite component that has been gained focus. Is temporary method indicates that focus change is temporary or permanent. Boolean is temporary. Okay. If it is temporary, it will return true, otherwise it will return false. Beginning with Java 9, you can obtain the cause of the event using final focus event dot cause get cause. Okay, if this will return you the cause of the event by calling this method. The cause is written in the form of focus event dot cause enumeration value. What is enumeration value? It will help you iterating through the causes. There can be one cause or there can be many more causes. Input event class. The abstract class input event is a subclass of component event and it is a superclass for component input event. Okay. So input event is a subclass of component event and superclass of component input event. So input event is in between component event and component input event. Its subclasses are key event and mouse event. Input event defines several integer constants that represents any modifier such as control key being pressed that might be associated with the event. Okay, so those are integer constants. Those are added as the input. Originally, input event class defined by the following 8 values represent the modifiers, and these modifiers may still be found in older code before the event handling modifications was done. Alt mask, alt graph mask, button 1 mask, button 2 mask, button 3 mask, control mask, meta mask, and shift mask. Okay, you can take a screenshot of this screen. Okay, because of possible conflict between modifier used by keyboard event and mouse event and other issues, following extended modifier are added. Alt down mask, alt graph down mask, because input can be generated through keyboard also and through mouse also. So at a time there may be conflict. So either keyboard has generated the input focus or input event, or mouse has been generated. We don't know. So how to identify them? For identify them, they have added the extended modifier values. Alt down mask, alt graph down mask, button 1 down mask, button 2 down mask, button 3 down mask, control down mask, meta down mask, and shift down mask. Okay. When writing new code, you should use the new extended modifiers rather than the original one. Okay, and also original modifiers has been deprecated since JDK 9. To test if a modifier was pressed at the time an event is generated, use the is alt down. Okay. So how to test it? If a modifier was pressed at the time when event is generated, use the is alt down, is alt graph down, is control down, is meta down, is shift down methods. Those will return you true or false value. Okay. They will tell you if a modifier was pressed at the time event was generated. Forms of these methods are all of them return Boolean values true or false. Is alt down, is alt graph down, is control down, is meta down, and is shift down. It is possible to obtain a value that contains all of the original modifier flags by calling the get modifiers method. Okay. So original modifier flags was returned by using this method get modifiers. Although you may still encounter get modifiers in the previous code, it is important that because of the original or modifier flags has been deprecated, this method has also been deprecated. This method get modifiers. Okay, what this method used to return? It used to return value that contains all of the original modifier flags. We should obtain extended modifiers by calling this new method integer get modifiers extended. Okay. So previous modifiers in the legacy codes are deprecated. So to get the updated modifiers, you should call this method instead of this method. Okay. Because the original modifier flags are deprecated, this method is also deprecated. Okay. Then item event class is the item event is generated when a checkbox or list item is clicked, or when a checkable menu item is selected or deselected. Okay. Checkboxes and list boxes we will see in later. There are two types of item events: deselected, user deselected item; selected, user selected an item. Okay. Item events defines the integer constant item state change, one more integer constant that signifies the change of the state. So state change of state has been encountered. Item event, item selectable, source integer type, object entry integer state. Okay. Source is a reference to the component that generated this event. Okay. This might be a list or choice element. Okay. The type is given by type. The specific item that generated the item event is passed in entry. Okay. Which entry or which object created or caused the item event that was passed in a entry. The current state of that item is the state integer state constant. Okay. Then get item method can be used to obtain a reference to item that change. So which item has been changed, like which radio button has been clicked, which checkbox has been clicked, which list item has been clicked, how to identify it using get item method. Object get item will return you the object. Okay. So this way we have seen multiple topics related to event handling. Those are very interesting topics. In the next upcoming session, we will see more interesting topics related to event handling. So meet you in the next session. Till then, enjoy event handling, practice event handling, understand, learn, and remember it. Okay. Java is very easy and very vast programming, but it is very interesting also. Okay. So meet you in the next session with new topics, new classes, and new interfaces. Thank you so much.